Welcome to the Wise Idea Weekly Podcast with Christopher J. Harris, focusing on life, leadership, family, marriage, and the church. We are providing tools for our inspiration and wisdom for life. Our goal is to inspire everyday people to live wise lives. If you're new to us, we release a brand new podcast weekly on Thursdays. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode. Here's our host, Christopher J. Harris.
Hello, my friends. Welcome again to another episode of the Wise Idea Weekly Podcast with Christopher J. Harris. I am your host, Christopher J. Harris, and I'm so excited to have you tuned in every single week to hear what we've got to say and to check out our guests and to tie in your life to the topics that we're covering. The last few weeks, guys, we have dug really deep into talking about habits and lifestyle adjustments for the new year. Everybody's thinking about it. Everybody's processing it. Probably many of you at this point have probably sat down and started writing down your goals for the new year and thinking about what you need to be doing and what adjustments. You probably thought about what goals you have not finished for this year. I've done it. I'm sure you have as well. If you haven't, I want to encourage you to do so. Take some time over the next 7 days. Sit down in a quiet place with a book and a journal pad or a notepad or something, and just begin to think about all the different dimensions and areas of your life and all the things that you got going on. And I like to tell people, I believe the research backs me up on this, that the goal may not get accomplished as thorough as you want it to if you don't write it down. So please make sure you write it down. Write your goals down. Write the vision down. Your goals are simply the action steps to the larger vision. So I hope you've thought about your vision. What is your mission statement in life? All of those things. I'm going to be creating some coaching networks over the next few weeks, and you'll be able to check out my website and tune into that. But that's not what today's focus is. Today's focus is to finish our conversation. We are now in part 3 of this conversation with Bishop Lester Love from New Orleans, Louisiana, here in the United States of America. And we've been talking about habits and lifestyle adjustments for the new year. Man, this has been an amazing conversation. So pull your notepad out, pull your journal books out, grab a pen, get you some water or some tea or some coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is, and let's tune in for this continual conversation that we're having about habits and lifestyle adjustments for the new year. You know, I just had the thought, Bishop, while you were talking, with everything that we've said over the last little bit that we've been talking, this is not for the mentally, spiritually, emotionally lazy person. If you're gonna do this and this is gonna work, you can't be lazy with it.
You can't be lazy in anything if it's gonna work. There's a great book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0, one of the best books I've ever read in my life. It helped me to understand people, helped me understand me a little bit better. One thing I learned through that book and others is that what I cannot stand about other people is normally a reflection of who I am.
Gee whiz.
But I hate it. I just can't. So it's something I may not like about you, but if I just can't stand it in you, it's something to me I have not dealt with. Because my perception of you is a reflection of me.
Wow. That's so good, Bishop. That's so good. All right, let's deal with this horse. This is a horse right here. This financial thing. Because everybody wants money.
Yeah. I'm not an expert in this area. I haven't done as much work on this that I have in other things. And when I don't have an expertise in the area, then I go and ask somebody else to help me to get coached on it. But I do understand, I'm understanding this. It's all about being generous, not just giving. There's giving and there's generosity. There's levels to this. There's giving, but generosity is higher than giving. There's some people who give one-time donations, people who give a little bit of their time because I need to get my community house or my school. But if you are going to receive, all right, we only talk about giving and receiving, but we very seldom talk about management. It's not just giving and receiving. The third thing is management, because if I'm giving to you, all right, but not managing what I'm returning, what I'm getting back, then I'm going to end up in financial trouble. So in these areas, in this area particularly for me, you need to get a coach. You need to get a coach, somebody that can say, okay, give me your money and let me teach you how to plan it, particularly for people of our ilk, because we were not raised knowing how to take care of money. Very few of us are CEOs and entrepreneurs and business people. The wealthiest and richest people in the world are the Jewish people, okay, in every segment, whether it's movies, whether it's entertainment, whether it's sports. We need to get people to show us how to do it and stop being so much of a consumer and learn how to be a merchant. But again, this is not my strongest area of expertise.
No, and I appreciate that transparency, Bishop. We got a few more minutes, Bishop, and we didn't talk about this coming into this conversation today. But you went through some big stuff here over the last 12 months, and some people would suggest that your discipline, your healthy habits, harmonic prosperity habits allowed you to kind of get back on your feet quicker than otherwise.
Yeah, man.
So whatever your comfort level is, Bishop, can you share with folks a little bit about what that encounter was and then what the recovery was like?
Yeah, man. It was a year ago last month. We were in Honduras. We decided to take a 40-day sabbatical from it all. Went to a place to get healed in every area, organic foods and meditation and all the things. We found a good place to do that. Flew there, got there the one night, great meal. Next day, toured the facility. The next day, I fall and have an accident. Bam! And I severed my liver, a bruise in my ribs, and cut my gallbladder off at the base. I was bleeding internally, didn't know it, was dying and didn't know it. Had to have emergency surgery. Had I waited 1 hour, I would have died. Ended up rushing back home. Spent 30 days in the hospital. It was horrific. Had suicidal thoughts. Because if it can happen to Elijah, who's a stronger man of God than me, it can happen to anybody. There is a place that is so dark and so lonely and so confusing. And but my doctor ended up having blood and bile in my stomach, and was out of my pulpit from like December to Easter, couldn't preach, lost like 40 pounds. But my doctor basically said this: if I did not eat the way I did for a year, I would have died. I ate like this for a year. The August before that, I was in New York City for a week by myself, which never happens. And I was looking for some answers from my wife, who was diagnosed with breast cancer. I ran across a set of teachings from a guy that claimed to heal all of these diseases: cancer, diabetes, AIDS, all of these quote unquote incurable diseases. See, there's no such thing as an incurable disease, but there are incurable people. And he was approached by the feds. The feds have a 98% conviction rate. 98% conviction rate. When the feds come at you, you're basically done, okay? Because he claims to cure all these diseases, but he has no doctor's degree. He did not go through the medical system. And they approached him. Number one, he defended himself. He has no degree, and he's black. And he's tampering with the medical world, which reason why the government is fighting over medicine, because it's big business. Ask me how I know when you get a hospital bill for $500,000, okay? Big business, big business. Medicine is big business. He defended himself. He's black. The feds come at him. And they say, bring me a case of all these diseases you say you heal. He brought 70. Long story short, he won. I said, wait a minute. You're black, against the medical industry, you defended yourself, and you won curing all these diseases, boom, I changed my diet right there without hesitation because I had a strong enough reason why. Nothing will happen in your life until you get a strong enough reason why. I changed my diet. Boom, threw away all the stuff, came back, and I began to engross myself in it because when I get interested in something, I get very interested in it. I read everything I can read, watched every video, studied it, learned it, ate like this for a year. Little did I know that God had me to change, right? Changed my diet that year. Now, let me give you the other side of this. I was probably a little insensitive after this process on people like you. Gotta eat right, you gotta change, okay? Because when I lost all this weight, I said, I gotta get my weight back up. And I was uncomfortable so long, I just needed comfort food. I was eating everything. McDonald's, Burger King, pizza, donuts, everything. And because that stuff tastes delicious, and I'm a country boy and I love to eat. I was eating everything. I got my weight back up. I said, okay, now it's time to change. It was so hard to change back. It was so hard to change back. Brought my mind back to Dr. Caroline Leaf, who said the second most addictive thing in the world after love is the modern American diet. I was addicted to it. I'd be driving down the streets and I'm not going to McDonald's. I'm not going to McDonald's. Oh, I'm going to go last time. And I know better. It was so hard. So this eating right and meditation and prayer and reading, it's a process. It is a process. I was a vegetarian for 7 years. I was a pescatarian for 3 years before all this happened. So I always had an inkling of it. But this revelation came to me once I found out about this healing. But it wasn't even for my wife. It was for me. Because had I not done what I did, I would have died. His name is Dr. Sabi. It's called Eating Alkaline. There is eating everything, right? Then you have pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan. The highest one is alkaline. The tip-top one is raw alkaline. I'm not there yet. Alkaline diet, which means you eat 7 above on the alkaline scale. It's where the Africans ate. Africans. You saw Roots. You watched what the Africans look like when they came on them ships? The women and the men. Fine, what? Big arms, big shoulders, big everything. Okay? Because that's the diet that they eat. Everything's 7 above on the alkaline scale. Then we get here, and we the strongest, we brightest, all of this, right? The only thing they had different than us, they had guns. Okay? That's the only way they kept us in slavery. They had guns and we didn't. Okay? And we couldn't believe they treat people like this. Well, they start feeding us things that would keep us beefed up and fat for a little while, but then die early. They start feeding us soul food. Soul food is a slave diet. I just want to just get you here at about 56 years old, you die off because we were living too long. And you got to take care of us when we get old. I tell you this, a dear friend of ours, you know and I know, Stephanie Pride, her father, Bishop Bennett, Stephen Bennett, Detroit, Michigan. Stephanie and I developed a relationship, and we were considering hiring Stephanie, right? And she was considering coming to us, okay? She said, Bishop, before I make a decision, I got to take care of my dad, who's got cancer. I watched her take care of her father, okay? She's full-time in ministry. She took care of her dad. And I watched her love her dad, but it was so hard on her. I watched her have to clean her father until he died. A daughter? I got 3 girls. The last thing I wanted for my daughter to see me naked. You too. I said, you know what? I'm not going to put my kids through that. On the other hand, there's a lady, Andrea Jefferson's mother, Mother Jefferson, all right? Mother Green. Mother Green is 91 years old. She's in her garden, What you doing in your garden? Squatting, pulling, moving. She's 91. She's able to move. She's in the garden. In the garden, you got to squat, moving around. She went upstairs and went to sleep and never woke up. I said, that's how you die. You don't die with no tubes in you, hospital, medicine. She was 91. She went upstairs and went to sleep and never woke up again. That's how you die. And I refuse to put my kids through that if I can help it. So I changed my diet and I'm not going back. And I do yoga to stretch my body out because I want to be able to be 70 and drop something on the ground and pick it up. I want to sweat. I want to keep my body moving. The human body is the only thing that's designed to move. Every other machine moves until it dies. The human body will die if it don't move. Got to keep moving. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be that addicted to my taste buds. I'm not that selfish. And I love to eat. I was raised by a country chef. I love good food. So I had to change my diet. When I came off of this, I told God I wanted to come back different. I had to change my level of spirituality. I had to study more, pray more, read more. Because I want to minister to people that want to think. I want to shout. I want to shout and run around the church and dance and scream and holler also. But we teach people how to shout, but when they come down off the euphoria of shouting, they're back with the problem because we gave them no strategies, no answers. No, do this and you'll change your life. So I said, you know what? I got to increase it all. I got to read, got to pray, got to study, got to pick up everything I can to make it better. So that's my story. I'm glad to be here. We just celebrated 1 year, took a vacation, which I was bad about that too. I was bad about that. I was bad about taking vacation. Bad.
So Bishop, the trip to the Honduras, was that your first sabbatical ever?
First one ever. First one ever.
Now let's put that in perspective really fast. Before the trip to the Honduras, how long had you been the senior pastor at the church where you are?
18 years.
So 18 years and you had never had a sabbatical.
At 18 years, several of those years I never had a vacation. Because I over-preach grind. Go get it. Just do it. And I get that. But I'm learning something. The less I do, the more everything I desire finds me. It just finds me. And I still work. And I still do all the stuff that I do. But when my mindset changed about the work, gotta go get it. The more I'm quiet, the more I'm breathing, the more I'm taking a 20-minute walk in the sun, the more I take a nap every day like you, the more I take a siesta every day. Every day. Eat, sleep. Because I'm up at 3 in the morning. Because I want to hear from God. I want to hear from God. I may not be as talented as the next guy. He can out-preach me, out-sing me, out-administrate me. I got to hear from God. I got to study. Some guys got a gift, the gift of oration, boy, they can just talk. Some guys can administrate. I need God. So I got to get up in the morning.
It's funny. I was listening to an interview by Pastor Andy Stanley, and he talked about the interviewer asked him if he could go back. You know, they're coming up on a couple of decades now that their church has been in existence and all of that. And he said, if you could go back and if there was 2 things or 3 things that you absolutely would not change, what would that be? And he said that when they started the church, he and the elders decided that they would not work more than, I think he said, 50 hours a week. They didn't care what was going on, how hard it would be, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, you know, that may, you know, even now, he said he may drop the number, but he's glad that they put those boundaries in place to create some level of sanity and margin and stability. And so, you know, when you were talking just now, you know, 18 years, you were grinding, some years no vacation. When I hear you talking about the sleep patterns and when you wake up and when you sleep and how often you have your phones or your devices and screen time, how you're breathing, how you're working out, how you manage your relationships, your ego, how you're managing your money, having a coach, being coachable, just all of those things, success, leaving a clue. I hear you saying, let's press pause and let's start where we are and be intentional about everything.
Absolutely.
So this has been a rich conversation, and I want to say to those that are listening to this, even from a faith Christian standpoint, that everything that God asks of us must be practiced. And if that's the case spiritually, I believe it is also the case in every other dimension of life.
Yeah, that's the key word, man. That's the key word. The key word, you got to make it a practice. You practice medicine. Why? It's always elusive, always changing. You practice law because there's always so many ways to interpret it. It's a practice. You fall off. I didn't meditate today. So what? I'm going to do it tomorrow. I didn't sleep. I overslept. I underslept. It's just a practice. Trust me. If you apply the principles, you get the promises.
Bishop, thank you for your time today. I don't even know how to close this. This has been so rich, and what I'm committed to all of you that have been listening to this episode and these series of episodes from this conversation will probably be my longest list of resources and references. And so what I've got to do is I may have to fly to New Orleans to do this, but I need to get from Bishop Love a series of book recommendations and maybe even some links of some things that he's read or people that he's read that will be able to reference some of what you've heard today. And I can say to you now, you probably won't be able to find a book that has everything in it all in one book. But as he said, just start the process of digging. And one of the myths about habits is that it takes 21 days to start a habit. That is not the truth. That is a myth. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who was a plastic surgeon in the 1950s, did some research on his patients. And the statement that he made was, at a minimum, it takes 21 days to begin to think about forming a habit. We have then taken that phrase, just like the telephone game, and we've dropped some words out. Mm-hmm. Research is saying now, at a minimum, your body and your mind don't even start thinking about the fact that something is a habit until day 66. And that depends upon your level of commitment and the difficulty of the new activity. So for those of you that are listening to this, the last challenge I'm going to issue to you today is don't think sprint, let's think marathon. And all of us are going to begin to embrace a new life and a new year in a much more incredible way. Bishop, I always leave a final word for our guest, those that I'm interviewing. And then I want to just do a couple quick fire questions just to have a little fun before we close out today, Bishop. So what's your final word for today for us, Bishop? Anything you want to tell us to close today out?
Yeah, thank you. This is what we need. We need more great information. We need to help people to get better in every area of their lives. There's so many other things out there that are distracting us. So thank you for the podcast and thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you so much, Bishop. So let's have a little fun, Bishop. I do a couple questions at the end of every interview that I have, conversation that I have with all of my guests. And the goal is that you've got to answer the question as quickly as you can without thinking about it too hard. All right?
Right.
All right. So here's the first question. Apple or PC?
Apple.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite TV show?
All in the Family.
Favorite quote?
Success leaves a clue.
Last 3 books you've read?
Ooh, man. The Bible, 4, and Becoming Supernatural.
Outside of the Bible, what book has had the most impact to you in your life?
Insanely Simple.
Wow. Your favorite subject in school?
Religion.
All right.
Well,
When you,
religion.
Sir?
I failed religion in high school.
You failed it?
Yeah.
But it was your favorite?
It was my favorite, yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. When you're alone in the car, what do you think about?
It depends. All kinds of stuff. My mind is all over. It depends on what's going on with me at that particular time.
Do you have a bucket list?
Everybody does.
Tell us 3 things on yours.
Italy, the triangle master pose, and 3 services at my church.
What is the triangle master pose?
It's a pose in yoga that stretches every part of your body. It's the master pose. I want to master the master pose. They say it's the most difficult pose. I want to master that.
Wow. Did you win any superlatives in high school?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right.
We didn't really have those in my high school.
Really?
If we would, I'd have won it.
All right. Last question, Bishop. If you were not in your current industry or career, what would you be doing?
I'd be on TV. I'd be a lawyer on TV, a TV lawyer.
Like a Matlock?
Yeah, something like that. But I'll be the guy that's going around fixing everybody's problem. And I'm gonna be a defense lawyer too. I'm getting people off that nobody thought can get off.
A little bit of scandal in you then, huh?
I never saw the show, but I guess somebody told me I was like B13 something. The guy who
B613.
Yeah, somebody told me I'm like him in that he's behind the scenes pulling all the strings.
Yeah, it's actually a whole group of them.
Really?
Yeah. So you never saw the show, huh, Bishop?
I refuse to watch a show named Scandal. I'm not that delivered from me yet.
All right, man. You keep saying stuff. That's another conversation. We have to come back to that later.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that.
That's incredible. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The man himself, Bishop Lester Love from New Orleans, Louisiana. His church is called the City of Love, Antioch Church, and we're so thankful to have him on today. Listen, I want to ask you, please go to your platform, whether that's Google or whether that is Apple, and please leave a rating and a review. That's how other folks find us. I'm so excited for all the platforms that we're on. I'm so excited about what the new year is going to bring in terms of the Wise Idea podcast. If you have a question, a comment, or you just want to let us know what you heard, please feel free to send us an email at info at thewise-idea-podcast.com. My announcer is going to come and give you some more information. Thank you again for joining us. I look forward to checking in with you next time. You know what I say? Every episode, live wisely.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Wise Idea Podcast with Christopher J. Harris. We hope you enjoyed our time together. If you did and would like additional resources and information, you can find the previous episodes, show notes, featured guest information, and more at www.thewise-idea-podcast.com. We also invite you to join the conversation on social media. The Wise Idea Podcast is on Twitter and Facebook. Find us at The Wise Idea and at our Facebook group, The Wise Idea Podcast. On Instagram, find us at The Wise Idea Podcast. Our host is also on social media. You can find him regularly on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest, all located at CJ Harris 1. Finally, if you enjoyed what you've heard, head over to iTunes and or Google Play and leave a rating and review for other listeners to find us. Our podcast is also on Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you the next time. Live wisely.